Welcome to Grow My Etsy Shop podcast, the drips of knowledge you need to start growing.
Hey, welcome. So I thought this would be an interesting exercise. I get asked the question, Jared, how do I grow my Etsy shop? And for years I've been giving advice, but I want to volley it back to you, and I want to ask you the question. Because we all sit in front of our computers and we say to ourselves, how can I increase my revenue? So I'm going to challenge you today with the exact opposite challenge. I want you to decrease your revenue. Do you think you could do it? Probably. You'd probably say, well, yes. I think the first thing I would do is, like, keep in mind, I want you to be on Etsy. I want you to be selling things. I just want you to decrease your revenue. Make less money. You'd be like, all right, I'm going to take crappy pictures because no one's going to buy anything from crap. I'm like, perfect. Well, I'm probably going to screw up my SEO because then no one finds me. Well done. I'll probably do zero marketing or growth to my store or outreach or visibility exercises because that will decrease it. Correct. I probably won't care about lifetime value of a customer. I won't ever speak to them after they buy from me. Nothing. I'll just kind of close shop and be done there. Yep, that sounds fantastic. I'll probably increase my shipping time to like a month out. Yep, that'll do it. So now that we know what it is that customers want, we then have to reverse it and say, am I doing a great job with the things that they want? Because I know what I could do to stop them. But does that mean if I do those things, I get them? Now, one of the most intimidating things we have is that we say, well, maybe my SEO isn't good enough. Maybe my pictures aren't good enough. Maybe my store name is too confusing. Maybe my about page isn't filled out enough. Maybe I don't put enough in my item description. Maybe I ship too slow. Whatever it may be, it can be intimidating to say, I'm sitting in front of my computer and I want more sales and I don't know how to do it. So let's just do this. I'm going to give you the exact same exercise, but you can only choose one thing. What would you choose? Screw up your pictures? Increase shipping time? Delete everything in your item description? Now let's flip it. You can only do one thing that's going to help you grow your Etsy shop. What is that one thing you're going to do? This allows you to say, all right, just as I can step by step decrease my sales, is there a way that I can step by step increase my sales? The answer is, of course. But this is where a lot of sellers get confused as they start to punch as quick as they can, as fast as they can, in the thing that's closest to them. We can go about this in a more strategic way, in a way that we're making sure we're checking things off our list and then moving on to the next. And this is where growth comes in. So as a growth marketer, this is the very similar approach that we take. What's the difference between a growth marketer and a marketer? A marketer is going to come in and say, great, let's get you visibility. A growth marketer is going to say, wait. What is actually working for you? How do we increase what's working for you? What's not working for you? Let's see if we can fix what's not working for you. And let's make sure that the funnel from the beginning to the end works. So we don't just look at visibility. We look at, are people converting at the level that they should? At what point do they drop off? Are people coming back and buying from you? And how do we increase that? And that's where you can then grow a business. I take this similar approach and I do it with Etsy shops. Because there's always the game of, I just want more people to see my stuff and more people to buy my stuff. And at the end of the day, you will make money with this mindset. But it's very difficult to grow a business, especially on Etsy, with this mindset, because you are subjective to Etsy's algorithm. And so learning the techniques of how to grow a business is going to be more beneficial to you than learning how to hack Etsy. This is something I actually talk about in my growth program, which I didn't think I was going to segue into this, but I'm launching that again in May. So if you remember, I spoke in January of this year, I launched a growth program, and I do them live. And so what it is you get a module, you work on the module for 2 weeks, and then I do a live call where I teach the module, and then anyone on the call can ask questions or be volunteers or share why they're different or whatever it may be, and then I just coach that person, and then those calls get recorded and they go into a folder, and people can come back and watch them who are in the growth program if they didn't attend the calls. And it's a really awesome program. I think I had 30 people in it in January. It was so close to that, and it flowed really, really, really well. And then I just kept people in the school group. So I originally said, hey, it's going to be 3 months. You get the school group just kind of during the growth program. And then I was like, I love this group. I love these people. I've got a relationship with them. Stay in. I'll work with me. And so now they have access to all the things that are in the school group, which is like the library of records that have all that stuff. So I'm going to be opening this up or doing another round of this in May, where every 2 weeks I'm doing a call and you get access to the pillars, and we go through the pillars. And so these pillars, the things that we do in steps. Pillar number 1 is we deep dive into you. So it's like, let's talk about you, because I can't tell you how many times I have conversations with someone who says, I really want to make a lot of money on Etsy. And I'm like, great. What are you doing? And they're like, well, I don't know. Or I work 1 hour a week. Or yeah, this is what my work goals are, but this is what my business goals are. And so it's just a time to have that gut check with yourself of saying, where am I? Who am I? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Where am I going to double down? Where am I going to take my foot off? So that you don't have to feel like a busy shop owner that's wearing all the hats, but just being really good in the areas that you're going to dive into. Pillar number 2 is all about understanding who you're going to be targeting. This is the foundation of the growth program, because again, I'm going to make a product that attracts grandmas. That isn't what grandmas are buying. And I say this often when I'm talking or looking at people's shops, is I say people aren't here to buy a shelf. It's not what they want. Though you sell shelves, they're not saying, I hope this is a shelf. What they're saying is, I want to buy something that's going to take up space on my wall. I want it to display, and I want it to match the aesthetics of what I have. So if you can present that information, that it is going to be easy to install, that it is going to match the aesthetics of their wall, that it is going to be able to hold what it is that they want to hold and look good in the process of that, that's how you get a sell. Not selling a shelf. Etsy shops spend a lot of time selling products. You're not selling products. You're selling things or emotions to people that solve something in their life. Sometimes it's a problem. Sometimes it's a desire. But we bring that in, and once they feel like, oh yeah, that's it. That's what we start to figure out in pillar 2. Who is it that we're targeting? What is it that they want? And how can we create a micro niche or a vacuum niche, meaning that the store has multiple niches that attract certain buyers. So, for example, if someone's looking for a Mother's Day card, there is someone who's going to be looking to buy something for their mom. And then there's going to be someone who's looking to buy something for their stepmom. And then there's going to be a 20-year-old looking to buy something for their mom and a 60-year-old looking to buy something from their mom. And they're going to shop differently. So when we put up our trendy Mother's Day card, who are we attracting? Who's going to be the person that's going to go through that? And again, are they buying cardboard or cardstock with some font on it or a picture? Or are they trying to get something that their mom will have an emotional reaction to? Ding, 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 ding. How do we implement, or how do we provide that experience for the shopper that they know their mom will have that experience? That's the kind of stuff we're going to be covering in pillar 2. Pillar 3 is, now that you know who it is that you're targeting, who you're going after, how do we write SEO so that Etsy knows that we're targeting those people? Because again, an SEO line can be very generic about the product that you're selling, or you can say to Etsy, actually, it's this that I'm selling, this is who I'm attracting, and this is the product. And from there, Etsy can then hone in better on who your people are based on the listings that you have. I have people say this to me all the time. They're like, Jared, I'm learning your ways, that you're the king of the duplicate. And that's correct. I'm all about duplicating listings and creating different variants of those so that we can reach. And then pillar 4 is conversion. Once someone is in your shop, how do we get them to convert? Because again, at this stage, we've researched. We know who they are. We know what their desires are. We know what they actually want to buy. Etsy has provided that customer to us. Now the listing has to sing to them. That they say, this product works. And then it turns off the noise of competition. We put in, and this is where pillar 5 comes in, is where we sprinkle techniques like shopping within the listing. So we create the listing so that they feel like they're shopping in the listing, so that it takes away the desire to shop on Etsy. Pillar 5 is about how to scale your visibility through ads. Because once you have something that works really well, you know who you're targeting, you know the keywords that you want, you can run ads and then dictate the ad account to spend on certain keywords that then give you the success that you're looking for. This is the growth program. This is what I'm going to be doing live. 5 pillars, 5 calls, access to the growth program, sign up, link in the description. That was bomb. That just went right into okay, now I'll go back to this. If for whatever reason you don't want to do the growth program, you don't trust me, you don't like me, whatever it is, then let's just do this. You heard the pillars. Work on one. Let's find one. Maybe it's pillar 2 you need to focus on. Maybe it's pillar 3. Maybe it's pillar 4. But you can hear how they stack. So sometimes we're like, well, I want to write better SEO. And it's like, great. But you need to go back 2 pillars to kind of figure that out. So you need to hear where you are in your process and hit that pillar. And is there always ways to improve those pillars? The answer is yes. One of my favorite things to do with mastermind people, so these are people who have proven products, they're coming in, they're looking to scale, is that I'm always kind of looking for, are you serving your niche as well as you can? So if I am selling, let's just go with the Mother's Day cards. What do I have? I have the ability to create a card that people have an emotional response with and want to give to their mothers. Can I do that when I say serve the niche? Can I do that with other things that they would want to give their mother? So that's where the first brain needs to go. Your first brain, you know what I mean? Because you're attracting people wanting to buy things for their mom. And what you can do is you can start to cross-sell through your listings other things that they could be interested in that could work. You could also upsell later in the journey. With my mastermind, I'm all about lifetime value, all about it. I work with these people for a year. My whole thing is, how much are you making from a customer today? Let's increase that. Because guess what happens? You grow your Etsy shop. And if you're doing this, you're building such great foundation to your shop because you're learning the techniques on how to get people to come back. Do you want to know some of them? This one is my number one go-to swing. It's an interesting one. I look at their process. How long does it take you from when someone makes the decision that they want to buy your product to then come onto Etsy and search for your product, to then shop on Etsy and buy your product, to then receiving the product? And we take that and we look at it in sections. And so the idea is we want that process to be as smooth as possible. So of course that means when someone searches on Etsy, you want to be found more at the top, right? That's how we smooth that process out. When someone clicks on your listing and starts to go through that, we want it to be like butter, like a pulled pork cooked to 205 for anyone who's into smoking meat. You just stick that meat thermometer in, you could lose the meat thermometer in this bad boy. That's what we're looking for. Really, really smooth. And for the first couple months, that's what we're doing. We're just chipping at the process. I am all about, this is one of my fastest hacks I have for you. I remove the amount of choices in a listing. It is so common that people believe that the more choices you have is what is going to make you different than your competitors. More choices leads to friction. It leads to clogs in the system. I was meeting with someone this last week and we were talking about their system, talking about some stuff. And I was saying, she makes bead boards. And she was like, well, I have to know before I can't pre-make them because there's a drawer that comes with it. And I have to know if they ordered the drawer or not. So I was looking at her checkout and I was saying to her, you have so many choices for a beadboard. And she was like, exactly right. It's what makes me the best. And I was like, here's an idea. Why don't you just make the best beadboard? At this point, you've been selling for years. You know exactly from your perspective what's the best. You know what people most likely buy. Just be the best instead of saying, well, I could be the worst, and I could be a medium, and I could be an almost the best, and I could be the best. Just be the best. That's what's going to make you different. So then if you can be the best and you can ship that thing out faster than anyone else, or just faster than what you're doing now, you will, because I asked that $1 million question, which comes to the beginning part of this. I say to her, hey, if you increased your shipment by a week, or meaning it would take a week longer to get out than you typically would that hurt your sales? She's like, oh yeah. When I go on vacation or whatever, I put that up and everything comes to a cease. It's just too long. I'm like, great. What if we did it a week faster? Do you think it would increase your sales? It's like, well, yeah, I probably would. Do you know who's going to love that? Mr. Etsy. Etsy's going to love a nice processing time. So what if we remove some of the, hey, by the way, we can be competitive with the cheap people, and we just say, look, you want it cheap people, go to Amazon and get the wood one for $17. This isn't us. This is us. We are the best bead board. Now, who do we talk to? We talk to people who want the best beading experience. That's our customer. And so you want to go to Amazon? Knock your socks off. You want to get some cheap one on Etsy? That's fantastic. We don't have any interest in you. We want premium. We want the person who says, I want someone who's thought about this, someone who's an actual beater, someone who's spent years making this and has a system and process, has employees helping them do it. That's what this is about. So we went through her fabric choices and I cut them up. We're going to these 5. Do you want a drawer or not a drawer? Not an option anymore. Comes with a drawer. Do you want wells in your beadboard? They come with wells. I just kept asking her, which one's better? She would say, well, wells do because it makes it so that they don't tip out when you're traveling. Like, fantastic. Why would anyone not want that? Sell that, because that's what you're selling. You're selling something that people can put their beads in, that they can put the lid on, and then throw that thing in a suitcase and have the TSA huck that thing around an airport and have it come back and have their project be exactly where they left it. That's what you sell. And so just be really good at selling that. And we'll make our listings, we'll make our SEO, we'll make the marketing that's around this, we'll make the retargeting, we'll make everything focus on the fact that you are the best. Now, what does she have? She's limited friction in her checkout. No longer is it, well, are you cheap or are you expensive? No. This is what we're looking for. Do you want the best? The answer is yes. Get in line. From there, we now know who we're talking to. We know what is important to them, and we know the value of this customer. We know they're worth something. They want the best. So now the question becomes, if we were to cross-sell or increase our sales or find a way to grow a business with our current demographic, what do we need to create? The answer is another great experience, or best in the beading world. That now you have an identity. You have a brand. You have something that you're connected to. I met with another person in the mastermind this week. They're looking into getting into events. So they're like, well, yeah, people do events and they sell kind of the stuff that we're doing. I said, does anyone do it better? Can you do it? Can you be the best? And they were like, well, yeah, we have access to a lot of things that people don't have access to, and we could be the best. And I was like, bingo. That's what this, okay, I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to go super into detail, but essentially there is this game that's associated with what they sell. And so they said, yeah, there's a lot of like charity events where people go and they play this little game and then the money goes to charity and they get a little prize pot and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, done. You're going to make a world championship for this. This is where the best of the best players go, because the best players do go to these little charity events. But what about pride? What about a pot that makes people say, whoa, that is a good prize pot for me. I'm interested in this. And now there's a medal that's associated with this. There's a post that takes place from this. There is a trophy at the end of this that is given to the best. And it happens once a year and it happens in Vegas. And they were like, okay. Now, again, this doesn't apply to all Etsy shops here. I'm just speaking on a higher level so that you can hear how this works. They're going to be doing this year. So I'll fill you in as far as that goes, how that is working out for them. But I'm excited to see. Yeah, if you want to get into this, let's get into this. They were originally looking at, well, maybe we provide an experience for people. Let's not get into it.
It's probably better that I spend the next couple of minutes helping Etsy shops instead of people who are at this level. One of the things that's important to note for your store is, do I offer something that people can come back for? So if you sell wedding dresses, you're cooked. Once someone buys a wedding dress, they're not going to buy a wedding dress from you again unless their daughter's getting married or they recommend you. And that's where this second part comes into. You've heard me talk about this before. It's called talk triggers. Talk triggers are when you feed people something that they can talk about with their friends. So a way that we figured this out is we call them middle reviews. You're going to have fans who buy your stuff, and they're great for our ego to go through those reviews and see what people are saying and love about your product. Then you have your 1-star reviews, which are obviously feedback, but can sometimes just be grumpy people. Then you have your middle reviews. Middle reviews are where feedback is found, because they're people who, you and I both know you don't sell crap. At least I hope not. So if someone gives you a 1-star, whatever. If someone gives you a 5-star, that's awesome. And again, it's great for your ego. But the true feedback is coming right in that 4-star or 5-star that had a little bit of it had something to say about it. Do you know what I mean? That's where you learn where improvement can come. And it's that feedback that we then can implement into the store that we have and promote. That's the kicker there. Implement it, promote it. Because that's deep down what people's concerns are. A lot of the times, and I'm sure you guys have had this experience, where you are buying something from, let's just say you're buying 5 white tees from Amazon, and you have this concern. Are they going to be cheap? Because I'm spending $30, let's just say, on these 5. I'm a little worried they might not wash well. You buy them. You get them. You feel the material, and you're like, wasn't as nice as I was hoping. If you're going to leave that middle review, you're probably going to say something around 4 to 5 stars and just be like, or 3 or whatever, and just be like, wasn't what I was hoping for. I was hoping for something a little bit stronger. What has just happened is that a customer has given you their internal fear and placed it in a middle review. And you were able to see what that fear was, and that the fear came to life. By getting in front of a fear, you mind read and provide the customer with faith that what they're afraid of won't come to pass. So if you do sell cheap shirts and people are thinking they're going to get expensive shirts, you are over marketing at this point. I would suggest, because we're all handmade here, right, that we then increase what we're doing so that the product matches the standards of what people are looking for. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you get into the business of being overly competitive, you are going to have crabby customers, because that means your pricing is going to be matching people who are cheap in general, and that could be tough. So it is always wise to get into the market, start to sell, and then increase the value of your product. Because now you have something that's actually better, and you can attract better people. I recently did this with a client that we had. They were running Facebook ads and Instagram ads and stuff like that, and weren't getting a whole lot of engagement because they're targeting cold people, and these people have no experience with anything. So they were getting sales from it, but they weren't getting engagement from it. This is great advice. So sit down. I don't mean sit down in a disrespectful way. I mean like pull up a chair. That's what I was meaning more that way. Sit down and listen to me. Pull up a chair. What we did is we looked at their reviews. We looked at their middle reviews. We did all that stuff, and we're like, okay, you have a great product, and people are loving what you're doing. And let's add some of these middle review concerns into the product so people know. Let's write some ad copy that hits some of that middle concern so that we know. And we're going to take all of your ads that you're running, and we're going to run them to people who've just purchased from you. Now, you may be thinking, Jared, that's dumb, because they're not going to buy from you again. They just bought from you. I'm saying within the last 3 to 5 days, we ran the ads to these people. But here's what happened. Is people bought the product, loved the product, and then they saw an ad on Facebook for the product, and they said, oh, I just bought this. I loved it. Because keep in mind, we saw that this was a superior product, that people did love it, and they were willing to share their feedback. And because of that, the ads became littered with positive feedback from customers saying, I just bought this. It was so cute. They posted their pictures. They pictured what they were doing with it, yada, 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 yada. We then took those ads that we ran for about 3 weeks to customers, and we swung them back to cold. Now, that same ad going to cold with all the social proof of people talking about how much they loved it, how it solved these issues, yada, 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 then skyrocketed the efforts that we were doing before because it was packed full of customers. Retargeting cold ads to people who've purchased and then using them back into your cold. And then this is what I love to do is once those ads fatigue, which means they've ran their course, people have seen them a lot, they've done their heavy lifting, we put them back into the retargeting funnel. So then as people, meaning, let me rephrase that. We put them back into the retargeting funnel where people hadn't made a purchase. I don't want to confuse you. Think of it this way. People see an ad. Then they're like, oh, I love this, but I'm not going to buy it. So they scroll past it. Or they just say, I'm not, this is cool, but no thanks. We retarget video views or people who went to our website and didn't purchase from us. But what ads are we supposed to show those people? Well, we show them the ones that are fatigued because they're seeing the cold ad up front and then they go into the funnel. So this is their first time seeing the ad. I feel like I'm confusing you. If you're running ads, this is a good strategy for you, but I feel like I'm probably going a little too high here. So let me come back to earth. One of the things that for Etsy shop owners, the advice I can give you as I'm in this podcast, and I shared this about a month ago, is that you need to have a verbal vision for your shop because it connects to your talk trigger. How many? I met with someone this last week. She said I have 600 people on my email list, but I've never spoken to them. I said, gosh, 600 people. How'd you get that? She said, I just have a pop-up on my website that people sign up for 10% off or 15% off or whatever, but I've never done anything with them. And now here's the follow-up sentence. Because I don't know what to say. Correct. If you're giving someone 15% off, they buy your product, what on earth do you send them next? That's an intimidating thing. But if someone is enthralled or knows or your brand revolves around your vision, let's go back to our beadboard girl. My vision is to beat out these cheap beadboards. It's to be the best. I've thought about it. I've engineered this. Look, this drawer is here because it's needed for this. Look, if you're a beater who travels and wants to be in the car, wants to take an airplane every once in a while, wants to be able to leave or put it on a shelf, if a freaking earthquake comes into this thing, your project is not going to fail. It isn't going to mix up your beads. You can leave off exactly where you are. This is for the true beater. That's who this is for. Those little $17 ones, sure, you got a little hobby that you're getting into, might lose it next week. Fine, get that. This is for those who've been in the long game. This is for you. Now, this girl she's a good businesswoman because she has that product. Then she's got lots of digital downloads that provide high-end experiences for beaters. Then she's got a school group that she runs people into that they can post these sample or these projects that they work on in the school group. And then she does a monthly thing in the school group that gets people to compete, and she gives out prizes. Like, she's a good businesswoman. What we've taken is we've made her now, or at least we're working this direction, into getting her to be the best in this space. We want people to be able to say, oh, that's blank. They are for true beaters. That's like the high tier of that. And now her vision of what she's trying to do is her talk trigger. That's what she talks about in her emails. That's what she talks about in her school group. It's this vision she has in something she's building. And those who want to support that and identify with that will connect with her. This school group she has over 1,000 people in it, of people who connect with her, see her vision, and are following that. So I know it's super common to look at our Etsy shop and be like, dude, I don't know, people just buy from me, I fulfill orders, and this is what I want. I just want to kind of wake up and have orders and go. And that's great. And there's a lot of things you can do. A lot of that's in the growth program. So you can sign up for that to help yourself live that life. But if you want a business that's not going to fizzle out, if you want something that you can scale and be the face of, hear some of those techniques that can help you with that. Okay, guys, if again, final throw out here, put your name on that list. What I do is I look at your shop, I give you some advice, I tell you about the growth program, I send you a little video, and you get to make a decision if you want to come or not. So, okay. See ya.